Thursday, almost Friday. So everyone put their almost Friday posts up. That's the most popular thing going on right now. But today we have a special episode. But first, I want to introduce the panel. My co-host Kia Lyon, she's joining the show today, and my good friend Joe. He's a big Giant fan, so he's in the bottom, all the way in the bottom there. And then on the top, we got Italy Jet from Everything Jets podcast. Go check them out. Go check out Joe's stuff. He writes articles for the Giants too, and then Kia does amazing stuff with us with this show. But today's guest, we have a special guest, a former NFL Notre Dame tight end, Derrick Brown. Man, what a great career he had at Notre Dame and in the NFL. He played with legendary players throughout his career, learned from great coaches. We can't wait to learn more about his story and go check him out. He does great things now off the field. But fans, you can tune in on our Speaker app. Obviously, everybody knows that. You can ask questions at the end of the show. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, on all the podcast platforms. Go check it out. But Derrick Brown, thank you for joining us. It's truly an honor. And we saw your interview. Italy just brought it up. We saw your interview recently on the Let's Talk Sports podcast. So I can't wait to get this going. But how are you and your family doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me, man. Very, very honored to be here.
No problem.
Thank you for your time, Derrick. We're excited.
Thank you.
I'll let someone start off here first. Either Joe, Italy, Kia.
I got you. So Derrick, you have had an amazing career, but I want to go to Notre Dame real quick. I love watching Notre Dame. I have a lot of family that are Notre Dame fans and friends. Tell me about your Notre Dame days.
Wow. Okay. So I was a kid. Obviously, my freshman year was 1988, national championship year, and that was obviously when I'm originally from Florida, Merritt Island, Florida, which is an hour east of Orlando, about three and a half hours north of Miami, and Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral. That's where I'm from. God's country, as we call it there. Yes. Very, very good at football there. Played with three other guys that played pro football. Jets, Cal Dixon played center for you guys for a little bit.
Yes.
He was a year ahead of me in high school. Daryl Spencer he was my age, played 4 years with the Falcons. And Hurley Brown also had some time with the Redskins and also in the Canadian League as well. And so that was also during the time when Miami was really becoming the U. And so it was pretty difficult. I was very fortunate. I was the top tight end in the country. I was the top tight end in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. And top players did not leave the state of Florida at that time. They went to Miami, went to Florida. Not so much Florida State as much. At least I didn't think so. I didn't even let Florida State recruit me, to be honest. It was Florida and Miami for me. And yeah, man, it was ended up going to Notre Dame on a gut feeling. I remember I was at home by myself. Nobody was home at the time. It was at like around 5 o'clock in the evening in wintertime, whatnot. And I popped in a tape, Wake Up the Echoes. And I got these goosebumps. And I had been fighting it because I wanted to go to Miami. I really did want to go to Miami, but I just it's something, the goosebumps, it's something totally intangible. Had that happened a year before, there's no doubt I would have been a Florida Gator. I saw myself as a Gator, was going to be a Gator. Obviously a lot of my friends went there as well. But I kind of got tired of people kind of telling me I was going to go to Florida. Be walking the streets and you run into fans and whatnot. And hey, Derrick, where are you going to play ball next year? You're going to be a Gator, right? I'm like, yeah, well.
You wanted to control your own destiny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was like, yeah, maybe I won't. And so then taking a bunch of trips to Miami, and what's there not to like about Miami in the late 80s, especially then, because that 30 for 30, the U, when they talk about the Hurricanes ran Miami, they ran Miami. They were bigger than the Dolphins, the clubs and everything. So had a lot of fun. And yeah, just went on a gut feeling. And it turned out to be pretty doggone good. Out of the 3 years that we played Miami, we beat them twice. And I was also, I was part of those first three Catholics versus convicts games. And I played a part. I still won a national championship as well. So
Nice. Yeah.
it
Very
was
good.
yeah, it was cool. Going there, going to Notre Dame. The funny thing is I didn't know anything. I just started playing football in ninth grade. So,
Mhm.
and I didn't have a favorite team. I mean, if anything, I really liked, I probably liked Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw,
Mhm.
obviously, because those are the big quarterbacks then.
Right.
Yeah, I just played the sport, played whatever sport was in season. And, quite honestly, the area where I come from, we kind of have a lot of pride down there. We like to be the best at everything because we think we're the best at everything.
Yeah.
Probably because most of them, more than likely, we are the best at
You were the
everything.
best today. You are the
Yeah.
best. You're the top of
Absolutely.
the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I tell you, like my junior year of high school, mind you, my high school during that time was Merritt Island High School. It was only 10th through 12th grade, but we probably had like 13 total students there. But my junior year, we had, let me see, I went to Notre Dame, two went to Miami, two went to Tulane, three or four went to Florida. Um, uh, bunch went three, four, two, three, four, something like that. Went to UCF, Appalachian State, and when I went to Notre Dame, I remember the first 7 games that we played, I played somebody from my high school
That's
Mm.
at some
awesome.
point, or somebody
Wow.
either if I didn't play from my high school, I either played from my high school or played against them in high school.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, and the guys that we played in high school, I don't know, you remember Horace Copeland, uh,
Yeah.
the University of Miami.
Mhm.
Him and Leon Searcy went to Orlando Evans, and then Lamar Thomas up at Gainesville, Buchholz. Uh, but yeah, it was pretty high caliber football. I mean, I know everybody says Texas, California. Being from Florida, we always say, Texas might have the better facilities, but Florida got the better ball players. So,
Mm.
I still hold true to that. So, right place, right time. Got to Notre Dame. As far as uh, the size of everything, it's like some guys when they get to a college or big time college like that, it's like, grandiose, right? It's huge. For me, quite honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal because of where I came from and the crowds that we played in front of. I mean, we didn't play in front of 60,000, 110,000, 106,000, but for high school, I did play in front of 13,000, 6, 8, 9, 10,000 every week. So, that wasn't as big a deal. And as far as the caliber of players, again, when you're playing against those kind of guys every week, uh, it wasn't a huge jump, a huge leap going from high school to college. If anything, maybe a little bit faster, but not really though.
Hmm.
And then by the fifth game of the season, and the cool thing was my first 2 receptions at Notre Dame were touchdowns.
Hmm.
So I was like 2 for 2. We ran this little dump pass, once they got on the 6-yard line or 4-yard line, but I was the recipient of I had 2 touchdowns and probably 2 catches for like 12 yards max, but 2 touchdowns. So that was cool. And then
Love that.
started the 5th game of the season, which was against Pittsburgh, and then following week was Miami, and I had 2 big 3rd down conversions against Miami. A lot of guys. Actually, there was 3 guys to my high school on that team at the time. 4 actually. Eric Ham, Bubba McDowell, Daryl Spencer, and Hurley Brown.
Mhm.
Um, that were all from my high school. And yeah, we went 12-0, and then the following year, the first game I lost was in college was the last game my senior year, or not senior year, sophomore year, and that was to Miami down in Miami. So we were 20. My first 2 years we were 24-1. Because
Wow.
we played 12 games freshman year, then we played 13 the following year, which I still say we were robbed of a national championship, but because back then we lost late, and so you couldn't do that. But we still had the best record in the land because we had that extra game
Mhm.
back then. Uh, but yeah, that was actually uh, that was the one game And the one regret, if you were to ask Coach Holtz, was that game down there where he told us, if anybody gets in a fight before this game, you will not play. That bar none. Like that was
Oh,
it.
wow.
And that kind of took the wind out of our sails, because it's not IBM. We're not out there playing badminton. We're playing football.
Mhm.
And
True.
when you have pit bulls and Rottweilers on a chain, sometimes we gotta let Rottweilers and pit bulls be Rottweilers and pit bulls.
Yeah.
So so that took the wind out of our tails a little bit. And so we lost that game, which we're probably I think we're interception. We still had an opportunity to win that game, but we didn't bring it home. And so we lost that game. And then I don't know. I'm trying to think of all I know is my 4 years there, we were 43-7. So
Mhm.
we did pretty good in my book.
Wow.
Love that.
Our
Love
book
that.
too. Let's be real. So I'm so interested. How do you become top of the tops in that short of a time period? Like, what was your process? Who was involved? Who's pushing you? Are you pushing yourself? What was the dynamics of your life going on then when you started, after everybody else? And then you're just like, okay, this is great. I'm the top of the tops and I'm going to go over to Notre Dame. I'm just going to shoot over there. And it's not much different. I'm
Right.
just
And I didn't even know anything
so
about Notre Dame either.
incredible.
Like until, nothing.
Wow.
Well, my father worked for IBM.
Mm.
Well, it's genetics, right? So the first thing you gotta do, I won a genetic lottery. So I graduated high school, I was 6'4", 225 pounds. I ran a 4.6.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's a genetic lottery. And then by the time I got to college, I was 6'6", 270 pounds. So, and still ran a 4.6. So
That's awesome.
that was it. But my father worked for IBM, and prior to living in Florida, I moved to Florida when I was in the 4th grade. So I think that was in 79. Yeah, 9 years old. And before Florida, I had lived halfway around the world. My dad worked for IBM. We used to move every 2.5 years. So I was born in Falls Church, Virginia. And after that, we moved to Houston. I was like 3 years old there. We moved to Atlanta. That's where everybody in my family, except for myself, was born.
Mhm.
So we were there for a short while, moved back to the DC area, Gaithersburg, Maryland, and then moved to California. I lived in England for a year and a half,
Well,
back to California. Same house. We just got
yeah.
shipped over there for a year and a half.
Wow.
Came back, had a British accent and everything for like a
Nice.
year. And then from California moved to Florida. And that was, I was 9 years old. And I think what it attributed to my athletic ability, I played soccer from 3 to 13. And, I think I do attribute it to winning the genetic lottery, because I was always the biggest kid, tall, lanky kid, but I was never uncoordinated, like ever. I never had that awkward stage or anything. I surfed, I skateboarded, I could jump off a roof onto a trampoline, flip into the pool,
Mm.
type of stuff, as young kids would do. Um, and so I played soccer, and then when I moved to Florida, I was a little older, junior high, I played basketball, and of course they're like, "Oh, you gonna play football? You got to play football. You got to play football." My mom thought I'd get hurt, and so she didn't allow me to play football until ninth grade, which was junior high, and we were 7 in the Thomas Jefferson Junior High, the Statesman, and we won the county champ 7-0. And
Mm.
then in Florida, we have spring football. You were allowed to play 20 practices. And then at the end of that, you have a jamboree where you play one half against one school, another half, the second half against another school.
Oh, that's
And I'm
cool.
thinking, yeah, yeah. And so here I am. I'm thinking I'm going to be playing JV.
Mm.
And they're like, "Oh no, you're playing varsity." So myself and 2 other 10th graders got to play varsity football. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous about that, because
Yeah.
like I said, it was a pretty badass high school now.
Mhm.
So but I didn't start, but I did play enough to get a letter. So I and the same thing happened in basketball too, where I never played JV unless it was, they didn't need me on the varsity and I would, sub in for a game or two or something like that. But yeah, yeah. And so,
Straight to the top.
straight to the top. And then also too, it's the system, right? It's the environment, being in the right place, right time. So this is 1986, 87. I had in high school, I had computerized workouts. So like whatever University of Florida did, we pretty much did. So you got your printout of what you had to do for your lifts, like all the Olympic lifts. We did that stuff. First period during the season was PE, and it was just varsity football players, and we would watch film, lift weights and things like that. And during the off season, you either had first or second period PE, depending on what position you played. So if you were a skill guy, you had first or second, and then the lineman had another one, or the other period. And I mean, 7-pound jump ropes, elastic bands, parachutes, plyometrics. I've been doing all that stuff since 1986, 87. I wasn't, and big as I was not the biggest, I was not the fastest, I wasn't the strongest. My junior year, my max was like 320, and I wasn't the strongest guy on my team.
Wow.
Yeah.
After all that, wow.
We need to see the team. Come on, roll the clips. Roll the clips.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so
Goodness.
funny. I gotta and there's tapes out there. I think they're reel to reel, and I gotta call. I'm going to call one of my coaches and see about getting that stuff digitized, because there is a couple of games I definitely want to have for them.
Oh, do it as soon
Ever.
as possible.
I will.
I want to see that for sure.
I do
Yeah.
too, but you never
gotta
know, like
set it-
when someone offers it, how long you can snatch it up, grab it. That's cool.
I definitely will. I definitely
Once you get it, you got to send it to us. We'll post it for you.
He
too.
may be the only
All
one
right.
that has it.
will.
That's true. It
No
might be the only
problem.
one that has it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, no, I'll get it. As a matter of fact, you know what? I should make a note right now.
Make
Yeah,
a note.
There you go.
Plan.
Write it down.
There you
Difference
go.
between
we
a dream and a
go.
goal is a date. We're doing
There
it,
you go.
Derek. Right
There
now.
we go.
We're putting a
And we'd
timeline
like
on
to
you.
see it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Send it
I
to
want to see it. I definitely will. I definitely will.
Hey,
So,
Joe, you
yeah,
want to go
so,
next?
yeah.
Sure, I'll go next. This is about your pro career. Obviously you ended up being drafted in the first round by, well, my favorite team. But I mainly want to talk about you ended up being selected by the Jaguars in the expansion draft. You didn't get to play in the Jaguars inaugural season, but in 1996, the Jaguars went from 4-12 to 9-7 and on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl. What was that? Given that it's the postseason right now, what was that like? Just playing in these meaningful games that your team was on fire, won like 5 straight to end the season, upset John Elway and the Broncos before ultimately falling to Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
What was it like playing in those postseason environments?
So that was pretty wild. So yeah, in '95, the reason why I didn't play, I got hurt actually.
Oh, wow.
And in '95, I took a hit by Tim Houck, played for Denver, in the last preseason game, and it's actually my coming out game too. I had in that game right before the half, I had like 3 receptions, a touchdown, 2 other balls thrown my way as well. And it was a freak hit, and ended up broke ribs, collapsed lung, bruised kidney, and lacerated spleen.
Oh my God.
Had air bubbles around my heart at one time, and then later on ended up developed a pseudocyst around my pancreas. So
Oh my God.
basically,
We're gonna put bubble wrap on you, sir. Put bubble wrap on you.
no, it was basically Doc said if I had gone home and gone to sleep, I probably good chance I would have died from all the internal bleeding that happened. But
My God.
thankfully had great doctors. It was just bed rests, no surgeries or anything like that. But ended up I was training to get back for week 10, but then I had to take CT scans every friggin' week, and that was when they had the closed CT thing, and I had to go head first,
Wow.
arms above your head, hold your breath, breathe. If you mess up, you got to start over again. Thank God. I never had to, but
Oh, thank God.
that's when I got over my claustrophobicness
Yeah.
because I'd be in there and start counting the little rivets with headphones on. Then I developed a pseudocyst around my pancreas, and so then they stuck a catheter into my ribs, had a bag strapped to my leg while that was draining for another 10 days. And so then that's when they scrubbed and put me on IR for that season. But rest everything and came back, played another 5 years. So
Wow.
Hold on. Okay, let's just holy smokes. Like after that description, I can't believe it.
What?
That's crazy.
That's
yeah. Well,
that's
because what
commitment,
happens
dedication,
is,
and passion.
well, what happens, and also too, I looked at it like this. Well, I just survived the worst that I can have.
Right.
And the doc was like, everything has all the scar tissue inside that it's even tougher than it was before. So
He's like, you're good.
you should be
Oh,
fine.
wow.
You're good. So it was just a mental thing to get over. And so now, play even
Right.
more reckless because you already, lightning's not going to strike twice, right? That can never happen again.
I like to hope so. I would like to hope
Yeah,
not. That's
right.
incredible.
Right.
Exactly. And so that year in Jacksonville in '96, we were actually 3-6 at the one point during the season. So we're 3-6. We had we called a players only meeting, and some of us vets got up and spoke, and basically it was just like, guys, listen, man, like if we're gonna do anything, it's gonna be up to us in this room. The coaches, all they can do is call plays. We're out here, we got to execute them. Young guys, and this is Coughlin. This is the first 3 years in Jacksonville where Coach Tom Coughlin was the head coach, and we told the young guys, like, listen, just listen to what Tom says. Don't necessarily listen to how he's saying it. Listen to what he says, and let's just go out here and
Wow.
see what happens. Right? I mean, because it's not fake it. Tom had a reputation of being a hard ass coach, and
Yeah.
he very much so was.
Did.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yep.
But that it was whatever the case was, he wasn't calling. He called the plays. He wasn't out there making plays. So we had to execute, and so we went out there and literally just got hot, and then we went up to Bob, and actually was remember it was Morton Anderson missed that kick. I think it was wide right, I believe.
That kick
He
sent you to the
slipped.
playoffs.
Sent us to the playoffs, exactly. And that was the last game of the season too. I think it was Christmas, right around Christmas time, that game. And then we go up to Buffalo, and Natron means business, and Mark Brunell, our whole team. We went up there, and the final towards the end of the game, remember, it was our strong safety Chris Hudson came on a safety blitz.
He knocked out Jim
and
Kelly.
He knocked out Jim Kelly, and that was it. Like, knocked them out exactly. And we beat them, and then we go to Denver, where I think they were like
Denver was 13-3
and
and heavily favored, yet it seemed like you guys were in control.
Yes. And in that game, I think Natron had like 120 something yards, 130, something like that. And Mark, it was incredible. And what was really incredible about it was, so we're flying home, and it's like 1:30 in the morning, and the plane goes over the stadium. There's 40,000 people in the stadium that have watched it on the Jumbotron and stayed at the stadium. So the plane dips, the wing so we can see them. And then we land, and police escort to the stadium. We kind of have this like post-game pep rally thing at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we get ready to go up to New England. And literally, we were 3 plays away from going to the Super Bowl. We were a block punt, a fumble, and an interception. We were right there up until the very end. And then didn't happen, which was, I guess, okay, because Green Bay at the time was pretty damn good, and the end result would have been them winning the Super Bowl unless some really freakish thing happened and lightning struck 3 times. So and as long as Carolina didn't go either, because that's what's really special about that year. Carolina, also being a second year team, was also in their NFC championship.
I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
No, I don't think so. I don't think. Hope not. At least I want to be the only one. So.
True. True.
You will.
You want to savor that.
Yeah, but I can tell you one thing that I remember though, after that loss, and it sucked, but I remember being exhausted, like just so tired. It wasn't like, you're not doing anything different, but it's just the pressure, I guess, or whatever. And I took my hat to the Buffalo Bills to back then to go 4 years in a row. Man, that's something really, really special. Until you do it and get in there and just experience it, it is unreal. I mean, I can't really describe it. I just remember it's just the intensity, it is just a game and everything. But even for example, when my rookie year, you have preseason game, and I'll never forget, we're watching I see your Eagles. I got a story about Reggie White there behind you.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, he's
Do
the
it.
man. Yes,
Do it.
he's the man. He's the
Red.
man. But I remember watching film of the first, like, for getting ready for regular season, and I'm like, shit, did somebody speed the film up? And they're like, nah, like, this is, now live bullets, like, now we go. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, no, preseason, that's just, kind of going through the motions or whatever. He goes, regular season comes, it gets faster. You play on Monday night, it's a little faster. You get to the playoffs, it cranks up a little faster. And every game you win the playoffs, it's faster and faster. You get to the Super Bowl, you're flying around. And that is so, so true. And my family, we always went to Aruba for Christmas and everything. And I got there late, of course, because I was busy playing. And the funny thing, the joke was, we're there for 2 weeks, and I was like, well, I slept the whole time pretty much. They're like, oh, where's Derek? He's
That's a
upstairs
vacation.
sleeping. Yeah, it was a vacation.
You could
Yeah, I
finally
remember I
sleep.
slept my ass off.
Yeah. Give me a couple Benadryl, knock you out. You
Yeah,
don't even know you're on the
beer,
plane.
couple beers. Yeah, no, but it's just, because it does, it takes an experience. It's completely different. I mean, it's it just like Monday night, right? You're the only show in town. Well, you get to the Super Bowl, man, that's a long season, right? It's a long season.
It's long, it's hot. Nathan, I was telling Nathan when we were on the field with the NFL legends like a couple summers ago, I was like, I'm exhausted in the seat just clapping. And now our guys are going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, I need a week off. Like, I'm praying for y'all.
Exactly.
It's a lot. It's heavy. Emotional weight is heavier.
It is. It's heavier.
And then
There's
it's
so
like,
much
now
stuff going on. Oh yeah, you're worrying about tickets. You got everybody, the family. You got to pack. You're there for a week. You have, little
Jason
things like
Kelsey's
that.
gonna have a baby. He's got his subscription coming.
Right.
Oh my God, that's it. I mean, yeah. And then that's why most coaches would imagine, like, hey, look, the first couple of days, go ahead and enjoy, party within reason. All right, we still got a game to win, and then lock it down. 3-4 days prior to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of, can you tell our fans about? I want to go back to the Notre Dame winning when you won the national championship.
Yeah.
Can you tell our fans about that? What was that like winning the national championship? And what did you learn underneath Coach Holtz? That, because obviously a legendary coach and a legendary person. So what did you learn from him and winning that national championship?
Wow. What I learned from Coach Holtz, well, winning the national championship, to be honest with you, was very, very anticlimactic for me. Probably for most of the team, it really was, because honestly, we had expected to win. So it was just like, for us, honest to God, it was just another game. It was like, all right, we're gonna go out here, kick their ass, and we're gonna win this. Like, and Holtz was saying, like, you don't win the national championship, at least back then, right? The coaches polls, stuff like that, they had to vote you in. So you woke up the national champion, right? Because that's when all the polls came in. So the thing about Holtz that I really learned, and I had a great coach, he's a legendary coach in high school, and I'm very lucky to have him, but then to go every step of the way, I had great coaches. And to play with Holtz, he was a little tyrant, but I still use a lot of the stuff I learned today that I learned then. And what is that? So if you take care of the small things, big things that take care of themselves. And so one of our big things where we practice to perfection. And Holtz even said, he's like, listen, we practice perfection. He's that perfections is impossible, but we're going to be so damn close that nobody's going to know the difference.
Mm.
And that was our philosophy. And then it literally every year started off the same. We got up there, he wrote our goals down for the year. So the goals started off, win all our home games, or win the opener, win all our home games, beat USC, go to a bowl game. And I might be missing a couple or two in there, whatever, but go to a bowl game, go to a January 1 bowl game. Because back then I think it was only 4 or 5. And then ultimately win the national championship. So if you took care of those things along the way, you really didn't have to worry about winning the national championship if you took care of business prior to. The big
True.
thing was he wanted practice to be so hard, which they were, that games were easy, were a joke. And that's exactly like it was. And I think at the time, because we were actually ahead of schedule at Notre Dame. Like, even though we won a national championship in 92, or no, 88, the better Notre Dame team was probably that 94 team where you had Jerome Bettis and Rick Meyer and Brian Young and Reggie Brooks. Those guys were actually a better team as far as talent wise than we were. But it was just a right place, again, right place, right time. Everything's meant to happen. Everything happens for a reason. We had good older leadership, people that got older guys that were there, but then we had this new kids that came on that had big chips on our shoulders. And quite honestly, we didn't have respect for the older guys. Like, just, not in a bad way, but it was just like, back then it was like, oh, I got respect, the older guys on the team. We were like, fuck that. Until that guy beats me, I'm not respecting him. You got to show me. I'm going to take his job. And that's how we all came in, cocky as hell.
Right.
Like, I'm taking your job, he's taking your job, and like they were, old school guys, which, they were older, but and some much wiser, but it was a great collection of old school and new school, where you got these cocky young kids who are athletically out of this world with older guys that had been there before and could expound upon some of their experiences. So it was the right place, the right time, and crazy. I mean, I remember at that time we actually had more guys that were sub 4.40 guys than Miami did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's a funny story. So with Rocket, like everybody knew, Rocket Ishmael, fast as hell, and he actually, they said, he freshman year he was clocked at 4.28. 4.28 and 4.25.
Whoa.
I was behind him when he ran it, though. He actually stumbled out of at his start. He stumbled a little bit and kind of like crab roll for a second, not, one or two on all fours, and then got up 4.28.
Wow.
And they had to run him again because they're like, there's no way he ran that. And they're like, yeah. And then we had another guy run 4.38, and then another guy 4.3, another guy 4.4, all these guys that were flying. But yeah, Rocket's 4.28 could have been faster had he not slipped and stumbled.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I just realized 4.28. That's faster than I think that's faster than John Ross right there, right? I think so. But
possibly.
Yeah, I didn't realize you played with Bryant Young at Notre Dame. He actually, or is it different? Is it a different Young? Or you talking about the Hall?
No, Bryant Young, that's him. See,
Wow.
you got to understand, when I was at Notre Dame, Brian Young was either 1 year. No, I think, yeah, he's Rick Meyer's year, so he's 1 year behind me. Brian Young sat the bench.
Oh wow!
Like, you got to understand, when at Notre Dame we were there, we were like, in Alabama or like Miami was. So
yeah,
my backup at tight end was Irv Smith. He was a first rounder, 20th pick.
Ooh.
His backup was Oscar McBride, 4th round pick, went to Arizona. I was gone then, and then his backup was I forget his name, Mark Britsky, something like, he was like a 5th round pick to the Bears. We had two guys split time at tailback, Crockett and Ricky Waters.
Oh yeah,
Because and the guys that were on the bench were Jerome Bettis, Lee Becton, Reggie Brooks was a backup defensive back at the time.
Wow.
Oh,
Who
wow.
else? Oh, because Dorsey Levens, actually, he was Rick's class as well, a year behind me. He was actually slated to start at running back, tailback, but he got hurt in a pickup basketball game the summer before his sophomore year, and he got demoted to 15 because of all those. Oh, Ray Zellers too. I forgot him. He was on the bench too. So that's just a tailback, right? And then Dorsey transfers to Georgia Tech, and then goes to Green Bay and wins the Super Bowl, and the rest is history. What else? So because Brian Young wasn't going to start in front of Jeff Alm, or Bob Dahl, or Chris Zorich. Oliver Gibson wasn't going to start in front of Chris Zorich.
Yeah.
Todd Light was our slowest DB at 4.4. Let me see. Jeff Burris. Oh my God, what's my man's name? Tommy Carter. These guys all rolled. Yeah, they all rolled pine, waiting for seniors and older guys to graduate before they could see the field. Because I mean, like Irv, and God bless him, like Irv was my recruit. He came. He bought into the love that we have for each other and everything. Because Irv I think he was going to go to Florida State I remember the coaches that were recruiting him from another school, I think it was Florida State or Clemson, did not want him going on an official visit because he was just going to go. He was like, I'm not coming here. He came and we converted him, and like even Holtz told him, he was like, listen, you're not going to start for 3 years.
But you're going to be part of the team.
Absolutely. He goes, you're not going to start for 3 years, but you get some playing time because I got a kid, Derek Brown, at your position. So
but
Herb also played baseball. So for the first year or two, he played both baseball and football. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's just brutal honesty.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna tell you right now, totally. So when you get recruited by Notre Dame with Holtz, they would bring in all the top recruits in the same time. And that was I think it was like this early December. And it was during their football banquet or whatever. And then he has a luncheon at his house, and he'll bring each person in and offer them a scholarship, and talk about it. But literally, Holtz, even myself, he's like, listen, love to have you. He says, we're going to win with or without you. And, we sure would like to have you with us.
Wow. And I love it. And I love
that's how they did with all of us.
That's so cool in the house. And I just, I know all those guys, like all the different ages or the different years. Now they're all like thick as thieves, and they're doing this big golf trip. I think they're going to Ireland, or they already go to Ireland.
Yes, we are. Yeah. I'm a part of that too. Yeah.
Oh, I want to go. I want to cover that.
That's
so awesome.
next year. Yeah, next year for the Notre Dame Navy game, I think, in Ireland.
Yeah. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
Man,
fun stuff.
I'm jealous. So after your playing days, you were a first round pick in actually the year I was born, first round pick, never picked 14th overall, New York Giants. You can be honest. Did you want to go to the New York Giants, or did you want to go to another team that you already had in your mind? And how was that experience for you?
Or did you want to go to the Jets?
No.
Did you want to go to the Bills? Be honest.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, no one's really asked me that question. It's the first time.
I love that question.
Clip that, Nathan.
I will answer this. Yep. This is the first time I've been asked this. Okay, we got to go back to 1992, where
the year I was born.
Tight end wasn't really. It was just, yes, there was Mark Bavaro, but after that and Brent Jones, there wasn't much, and then during my years there, you had
Ray Handley in your first year, and the less we talk about him, the better.
Nah. But you know what though? I was Ray's pick, so I would have loved it. And that when Dan came over, and Dan he was the player's coach, fortunately I just wasn't one of his guys. He got rid of every Giant that kicked his ass in '86. The only one that was left there was LT, because You couldn't get rid of LT.
Sims was also there,
Yeah,
actually.
you
Because
can't
you
do
know,
that. You can't do that.
No, George Young's not going to let that happen, right? You know, that's one guy that they wouldn't get rid of. But if you think about it, when he came in there, he cleaned house pretty much with anybody from the old Giants team, and they all went to New England to be with Bill.
Wow.
It
But
was just LT and Sims in '93. They both retired after that year.
yeah, yep.
True.
I remember that game because we played with San Francisco. That's when Ricky Waters had like 5 touchdowns.
5
in
touchdowns.
the playoffs. Yeah.
You know what? That team won a playoff game, so it's all good.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Against the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so where did I want to go? I thought I was going to go number 9 to Cleveland. That was, in our talks
Bill
and everything.
Belichick.
Yeah, but they ended up picking Tommy Vardell from Stanford, fullback. And later on, I went to find out that the Redskins had the 6th pick at the time. Or no, not the 6th pick. They had, oh, sorry, Cleveland had the 9th pick. Redskins had the 6th pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Redskins
They had the
moved
6th
up,
pick, and yet they were the defending champs. What
right?
the heck
And then they
happened
moved.
there?
Actually, they moved up and went to number 4, and then they got Desmond Howard
Mm,
at number 4. And
Oh,
so
Whoa.
I was told,
crazy. Let's go.
I was
That's
told,
Howard.
yeah,
Okay.
right. I was told that if they were going to still be at 6 and I was still around, I was going to go there. They actually used the tight end too.
Yeah.
Then but actually though, I think during that time, of course I wanted to be a 49er actually.
Mhm.
If I had
Oh,
to,
okay.
I didn't really, I really didn't give a shit where I was going to go,
Yeah.
but because the Niners threw the ball around,
Yeah.
let's go to the Niners because they throw that ball around to everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, but if nothing beats being, going to be a Giant because it is the mecca of the world, New York City, granted, New Jersey, but right across the river.
Right.
And it's a class organization, right? The Mayors and the Tishes.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
How was it being the first overall? Like, was it nice? 14th pick, round 1.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool. That's for sure. And being in New York and during that time too, it's like it's a lot different. When you're a first round pick now, they want you on that field right away.
Yeah.
No matter how much you wanted to be on the field as a rookie, you pretty much had to go through a process with the team. You know what I mean? Where unfortunately that happened, and then Ray
it
Hanley
is a little different with
getting fired.
quarterbacks. Sometimes you just need a year to develop.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but they throw them out there their first year, which I think is kind of detrimental to their development, right? But also too, it's a much younger game. The locker room that I went into, I don't know if they had. I feel like they didn't have 10 guys on the team with 4 years or less experience. It's the complete opposite now, where a 4-year vet is like a seasoned veteran. My day, I hate to be that guy, but back in my day, a 3rd-year guy, they were still calling a rookie and hazing, and I know that for a fact. Some of my friends, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher for those 3 years, and he was still Ricky Jackson still didn't call him by his name, call him, "Hey, Rook."
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was and then with Ray getting fired and then Dan coming over, brought over different type of offense and stuff. And I went in as a pass receiving tight end and ended up learning how to block. So I did a whole lot of blocking, but thankfully I had another great older brother and very good dear friend in Howard Cross, who took me into his wing as well.
Wow. Yeah. I got your draft class up here. I didn't know Troy Vincent went 7 to the Dolphins. The great Troy Vincent.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, he went 7.
And then number 1 was Steve Ettman.
Yeah, Steve Ettman.
Yep. Line. Now, what does it say what their contract was? I can tell you right now what his signing bonus was.
Who, Troy Vincent?
No, for the number 1 pick in the draft.
What was the signing?
Steve Entman, yeah.
Steve Attman was like
he
$6
would have
million.
been so good if it weren't for injuries.
Yeah,
definitely.
His signing bonus was like $6 million.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Number 1 But people, well, you really don't realize it though. So
Yeah.
LT was like one of the first $1 million players in the
Right.
league.
Right.
That was what, 86, 85?
Mhm.
Wasn't that long before 92 at all. So definitely, the sport's come a long way. It's kind of like it's kind of like today I saw something on Instagram where Charles Barkley was talking about when anytime he sees Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, he thanks them.
Mm.
And because they did more for the sport of basketball than any two people. People think you realize that when Charles Barkley came into the league, the NBA, average salary was 200,000.
Oh my God.
True.
Think
Yeah.
about that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The first $1 million guy, Magic Johnson, 25-year, 25 million.
Mm.
It's
So,
kind of, yeah.
that's what, 85.
When did Magic even
four?
get that contract?
That had to be, I want to say, we'll see, how old is Barkley? It was around his rookie year or just before his rookie year. So right around that time. So,
Barkley was in the same class as Jordan, right? I think he was.
I think he was. So what was that, like 82, maybe 84?
84, 83, 84.
Something like that. Yeah.
I know Hakeem went #1 that year, but I'm like, even with all the stars in the past, there
Yeah,
hasn't
he's
been a $1
59.
million player.
See, think about this though, like Bill Russell, Akeem, and those guys, they weren't making $1 million.
True.
That is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
84 and he's 59
That's-
years old.
That is crazy when you think about it. How far would you come?
Hey, we gotta do a podcast on salaries, man, and contracts. I never dig deep in these stuff. I need to start digging deep on these contracts and
Dig
salaries.
deep in the dollars,
And
man.
back in
Yeah,
the
deep in the dollars.
I
Yeah,
mean-
you'll be surprised.
I mean,
that-
it's the
Get
off
those
season.
sponsors.
That's what everything revolves around.
Right.
yeah, yep, absolutely.
Derek, your mental strategy, I'm really interested in it because the fact that you could just, after your injury, go back at it. When you were a kid, you traveled, and then just jumped right into like the high performance mentality. I love how you said, listen to what he says, not how he says it. What has been your key to focus, tuning out all the distractions and just being totally high performance?
I think it started with my dad, my family, my mom and dad. Like I said, my dad worked for IBM, and that was when the ThinkPad, like literally, you had all their marketing. It was on IBM Think, and so the leather bound notebooks and stuff like that said Think on it. My dad said it's a group of thinkers, and that was, I mean, even to this day, when I'm getting, things are kind of frantic, I'm trying to figure out my business, stuff like that. And like, okay, no, think. Take a
ThinkPad.
step, like think.
Yeah.
Just stop for a second and let's just think about this. So I think it started with him. My father was the first person in his family to go to college. I was the second on his side of the family. He went to Morris Brown, played football as well there. And actually, when they had farm teams, he played for the Redskins for a year, played safety. Like in 69 or 70.
Was he able to see you play in college?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Saw me play in college and the pros. Both my parents are still alive to this day.
Great.
So yeah.
Great.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And I think that's where it all started. Like even to this day, he gets annoying with it sometimes if I go ask him, I'm 52 years old and I ask him for advice, and his big thing was, all right, get a piece of paper, just put a line down the middle, put pros, put cons, and then come up with your answer. He says,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. You got to figure it out for yourself. It's like, I'm raising leaders and problem solvers. I'm not raising, followers. So
Love
that's
it.
how, yeah.
Yeah, Dad.
And also
Nice.
too, and I think that mentality too, and like I said, and I know I've said it numerous times already in this podcast, is everything happens for a reason. Merritt Island, coming from Merritt Island, living on Merritt Island, it really is. When you meet people from Merritt Island, we all talk shit. We talk the same stuff. We think we're the best at everything. But here's the thing, and one of our friends wrote this blog. Hear me out. Here's the reason why we're the best at everything. So when you look at the era between the 60s, 70s, and 80s of Merritt Island, Merritt Island's right by it's Cape Canaveral. So nobody was really from there. Everybody was a transplant, okay, because of the space program, right? It was getting a man to the moon and back safely, right? And then the shuttle operation. And that's why we moved there, because my dad worked on the shuttle. And then eventually my mom did too. And so, and if you remember, the head of NASA, the slogan was failure is not an option.
Mhm.
We took that, the whole world's watching our area.
Right.
And, to the janitor at the school, the garbage man, and we all bought into it. So Merritt Island as a high school opened up in 67, I think. They won their first state title in 72, back to back 78, 79. Will Purdue went to my high school. Clint Hurdle went to my high school. I mean, this is a small little island, right? This is not, some big major thing, major city. Hubbard McDowell, Eric Ham, Jeff Wickersham, Joe Colbrand, all these, guys that played the Dolphins, the Houston Oilers, like I said, Will Purdue, how many rings he has? He has 6, I think, right? Because he won 3 in San Antonio and 3 in Chicago. And so we all bought into that, and that's all we knew. Like, I remember my son a few years back, actually when he was younger, he would ask, who was my favorite player, and I was like, stop to think for a second. I was like, but I don't know. I never had one. I was like, I thought it was better than them.
Yeah.
Like that's how we were like, and we were so competitive where, you weren't going to beat us at anything. Like I didn't care if we were playing tic-tac-toe, tetherball, checkers, chess, you weren't going to win. And the funny thing was, and we talked so much more shit too, like with each other. And then, when our group went to a bunch of our guys, when they go off to college and stuff like that, and I'll never forget my friend Chris Peterson and Lance Jenkins and Andy Kissenberg and Jason Fisher, a bunch of them went to University of Florida. And I forgot what the fraternity was, I think ATO. Within a year, one of our guys is president there. And of course, everybody, hates them because, Merritt Island, like, oh, geez, here they go again. Like, but which high school did you go to? Yeah, we beat them. Yeah, where'd you go? Yeah, we beat them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but failure's not an option. We beat
That's
you.
right, because failure
beat
was
ya.
not an option. Absolutely. Failure is not an option at anything. And like that's just how to this
I
day
love
you
that.
talk to any of my friends, and that's that's how they are. That's why they
And
went on to CEOs and stuff like that. And yeah, it was in the water. It was just how we were brought up and raised.
Oh.
super cool.
Man, if you all had reunions, that'd be one heck of a reunion with everything.
Yeah, I want to go to that too.
How?
Yeah,
I want front row to that.
Me too.
You'll be
We're
laughing
covering
your
everything.
ass off though.
Exactly.
So the funny thing was like, and the thing is though, and I think what makes it great is because of competition between us. And so like guys from people from the outside, like the people that are at the fraternity, like, God, you guys talk so much shit, but like, you don't understand the shit that we talk to each other. Like, this is what we say to you guys is nothing compared to the pressure we put on our best friend. So
Merritt Island, ship talk.
Hey, all of us have to meet in person one day.
Ring to it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Come
on down to God's
country.
get drunk. Yes,
we're gonna get drunk together. All of us.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We got some stories for you.
I'll be the DD. I got
you. Speaking of actually, I'm trying this new segment out for the show, and so far we're 1 for 2. We got one yesterday. So, but tell our fans about a story you haven't told anyone yet.
Oh man, that I haven't told anybody yet. I've said a lot of them though. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm an open book, but I'm a fairly open book. Man, let me think here. Nope, you're not gonna know that story. The story I have not told anyone.
Or let me switch it up. a story that some people that don't know about Leonard Marshall or Lawrence Taylor. Let's talk about. Let's see.
Oh, Leonard. Oh, okay. Well, I guess some people know this, but this is a good story though. So, my rookie year, I'm and Dave Brown he went in the supplemental draft, and he was also a first round pick.
Mhm.
So we were responsible for buying donuts for the whole team the whole year.
Mm.
And so, but you know how like towards the end of the year, you have games on Saturdays sometimes.
That's a lot of
So
donuts.
we had games on a
Oof.
Saturday. No, tell me about it. It's a lot of fucking donuts.
All year.
And whenever we go to LA, when we go to California, they want Winchell's donuts. They want a specific donut, Winchell's
Oh yeah,
donuts.
yeah.
And that means you
Wait,
got to
the whole
get up
team's eating
early.
donuts?
Of different kinds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then the second round pick would buy drinks, juice, and stuff like that for the whole team.
Mm.
So towards the end of the season, we got a game on Saturday. Like usually Dave and I would take turns going to pick it up from this Armenian bakery, like I think it was like 20 dozen donuts or something like that, bring in. But it's a Saturday now. So Saturday game means that our Saturday schedule is Friday now.
Right.
So I go pick it up. This place is closed. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? I couldn't think of anything. So I just go to the stadium and I'm walking in, and Leonard's walking in with me. We had to get there at the same time. He's like, hey Brown, where are the donuts? I'm like, dude, it's not happening today. He's like, listen, man, I would not go up in there without empty-handed. I would not go up in there empty-handed. You need to, I don't know what you got to do, but you need to figure something out. Don't come up in here empty-handed. I'm gonna help
I
you
can
out.
hear Leonard saying it.
Yeah.
I can hear it too.
So
Man,
I'm like, oh
just
shit. So
him.
I'm like real fast. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do.
Right.
So if you're familiar with Giant Stadium, like the old Giant Stadium on Route 17, that Burger King right there. So I went to the Burger King on Route 17 South, and I ordered $200 of an assortment of sandwiches.
Wow.
And of course,
Wow.
when you order $200 worth of for sandwiches, and back then they're probably what, $2 or something like that.
Right.
So $200 of per sandwich. You can't just say, oh yeah, I want $200 for sandwiches and then walk out. I had to wait like an hour for them to cook
Oh my God.
and prepare all these sandwiches. So they finally do that. I get to the stadium an hour late. I missed 2 meetings already. At $500 a piece, I got fined. My locker, they took everything out of my locker and just threw it everywhere. Had baby powder all thrown in my locker on everything. And they're cussing me out as I'm walking in and handing them sandwiches. And as they're like, then it became like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. They're all laughing and stuff. But it ended up having for sandwiches the rest of the season because of that. They all loved it. But yeah, because of Leonard, he saved my ass a little bit. It still cost me $1,200, but
Yeah, I was gonna say $1,200 and no donuts to sleep in the ditch.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. $1,200, not hilarious for you that day.
No.
That's
And then you had to buy them the rest of the season. They probably were so much more than the donuts.
No, let me tell you what.
Right.
Let me tell you what those assholes did. So,
Oh, there we
because
go.
we split. So Dave Brown and myself were both first rounders because that year they had a supplemental draft.
Yeah.
So we split it. We shared it. But then that following year, we think we don't have to do it. But they're like, oh no, because y'all split it. Y'all split last year. We want to make sure we get a full year out of you guys. So we had to do it again our second year, buy donuts for everybody.
I'd be
Every
like,
game.
listen, I'm bringing a Hershey Kiss for each one of you.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Yeah, that didn't fly.
Here's your Kit Kat.
yeah.
Here's your Kit Kat.
Uh,
Yeah,
Oh my
that doesn't fly. Yeah. But it was,
Don't take away those
it's a
donuts. That's
brotherhood.
funny.
Oh, that was
Yes.
that's a crazy story right there. I like that
You
story.
Yeah.
gotta tell Leonard that story. Show
I know,
him.
I got-
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him later on, but that's crazy though.
Because you
Mhm.
mentioned BK,
That's a great
stupid
story.
commercials in my head now.
right. BK had it your way. $1,200 later.
$1,200 later. Oh my gosh, that sucks. But that
They
wasn't as
loved
bad as the
you.
first time. They did. But see, the beginning of the season, we even during preseason, we still had to get donuts. But like again, Dave and I at that time we would switch. And it was Dave's turn to do it. And Dave got these guys don't want like, Boston cream filled, this, that, and the other. They want They want glazed, powdered, chocolate glaze, like 3 or 4 simple things, right? Not this, not
Not a bougie
pastries.
little donut.
Not a bougie, not a pastry. They want donuts. And they didn't buy enough. And so LT comes in, he's like, "Who the hell got these damn donuts?" And they were like, number one, like Dave. He's like, "Who? Who the fuck's Dave?" He didn't even know Dave Brown was the quarterback, whatever. He's like, "Who?" He's like,
Oh my
Dave. We're
gosh.
like,
That is
number
funny.
one, first round pick. And so Carl Banks is like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna help you out."
Yeah,
He
Carl
goes, "I'm gonna
Banks.
order it. You guys are gonna pay for it, but I'm gonna help you out." So then the next week, and I think the next week we were actually we had Bro Camp. We're at the stadium now. This son of a bitch, we had an omelet station, a chef, right? It was just laid out.
Wow.
Breakfast, omelet station here, this guy there. It was $900 for breakfast with these guys.
Wow.
But I have to admit, we split it 3 ways. So Carl did not have to do that, but he did. So
Wow.
I
Yeah,
thank him for
Carl.
that.
I'm definitely going to tell this to. I'm going to be with LT and Leonard this weekend, so I'll tell both of them.
Okay.
It sounds
Very
like a
good.
Super Bowl spread to me. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah. Yep. No, it was funny. Good times though.
Oh yeah,
Gotta pay your dues, I guess.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. What's so stressful? What do you got to do? You got workout, you got training. Yo, I got to get the donuts.
I gotta get the donuts. Exactly. And then when everybody else is sleeping in LA, and I don't know why we didn't think about it. And then you had to go searching for it. So we get there instead of just calling ahead. I mean, back then, I guess you had to look at a phone book, whatever, call ahead, figure it out. Dave and I get up early and we go searching for a damn donut shop. That was like stupid on our part. You can't find one, then you do, and then you got to say, "Oh, by the way, I need 20 dozen donuts."
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But we did it.
Exactly.
We did it, and we got it done.
Wow.
Awesome.
Italy, Joe, or Kia.
Joe, go ahead.
I don't have anything right now.
Italy.
So I know you talk about Lawrence Taylor. I know you talk about all these other guys that you have played with. Is there a player that you idolized growing up or wanted to be like, or play your game like when you were going into Notre Dame, going into the NFL?
Truthfully, no. Again,
Gotcha.
because I was so young and new to the game, I did not really have a favorite. But one
Okay.
thing that I can say is when I got to the Giants, just being in that locker room, the guys like, even LT, I got smacked in the nose by LT my very first play at practice. He didn't break my nose, but he did split the helmet open and my nose did bleed. And that did happen. But guys like Leonard Marshall, Eric Dorsey, Stephen Baker,
Pepper
Mark
Johnson.
Ingram, and Howard Cross. Those guys, I learned a lot from them, and they were, crusty old, true veterans, right? They were not just veterans in age, but they knew the game. And then actually, my second year, got to be Ed Reynolds, who came over from the Patriots after I think he had a 10-year career with the Patriots, was now playing for the Giants, and we got to be really, really good friends. And certain things that he helped me out with because he was a serious seasoned veteran at 10 years. And I remember, one of the things I learned from him, I had my goals during training camp. I put them down, and every day I would read it, go through, and the very first thing is, 0 mental errors, no drops, things like that. Don't miss practice. You never want to miss practice. Like,
Right.
no days off. And I can say that during training camp, I never missed a day of training camp during my 9 years, except towards, I think it was in Arizona, and I probably could have practiced. I could have practiced.
Yeah.
But even the trainer said, and one other guy was like, "No, you're a veteran." He's like, "You've earned the right to miss a practice." And I actually did. Yeah, I had like a strain. So I'm like, I could have went, but they're like, "Oh, go ahead, take a day off." I was like, "All right." And so that was the first time I took a day off in year 7, 8, I think. Year 8. Yeah,
Nice.
7. Yeah. Yeah.
I would
No,
love.
it was 7. Because 7, I was with the wait a minute, year 8. That's what it was.
Yeah, you also spend time with the Raiders and the Cardinals too.
Yeah, yep. It was great, man. I got to play for Gruden his first year in coaching. Gruden's my guy. I know there's some issues he had there, but hey, he was a hell of a coach, hell of a guy. High energy. Great guy. Loved playing for him. Loved playing for him. Yep. And then Arizona, in my career in Arizona, and actually so I was there in '99, and then in 2000 I was there, but then I got released, then brought back for a month of November actually, and that's pretty much how I got my 9th year. And then got released again. By then I was the old the old guy. Not the guy. Well, actually, it was more of a salary cap casualty, because if you remember that back then, especially during that time, the tight end spot really wasn't. The tight end spot was actually the second lowest paid player on the team. Field goal kickers made more than tight ends in like 99, 2000, 98. Punters were the only people that got paid less on average than tight ends. They would either stick a tackle or a fullback at tight end, depending on what was needed back then. So pretty much got priced out. Are you going to spend X on me or Y on 3 players for what the same price you got to pay me? And so the bean counters, it's a business, and I understood it, and that kind of forced me out.
Speaking of fullback and tight end, do you remember Nate Turner?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on our show 2 days ago. So we had him on the show 2 days ago, and he was.
Well, you know what's so funny? As soon as you said Nate Turner, man, you remember Tecmo Bowl?
Oh,
yeah, right. Look at Nate Turner, right? Yeah, man, Tecmo Bowl. As soon as you said that, that's it. In white, I just totally saw his name right now.
Derek, tell us about your pregame. Actually, I have 2 questions. Tell us about your pregame routine, whether it's watching tape or hype music or empowerment. And then also, I was going to ask your favorite coach, because you said you worked with so many great coaches, but I want some more Lou Holtz like words, because everybody like just idolizes him.
Sure. So my pregame kind of was it evolved, right? So when I was in high school, it was one way. Like I had to tie my shoes over and over, and like they had to fit a certain way. And we actually had this one big pit with this baby powder in it. And I would take it, put my feet in it, put my shoes on, put my socks in it. Then I put my cleats on, and then my cleats had to fit perfect for some reason. I mean, I would time over again until I got it. And then when I went to Notre Dame, I actually on purpose did something different every day, because I did not want to train my brain to think like if I forgot something, I'd freak out about it, whatever. And for the most part, I did pretty good there. So I would just grab stuff, whatever, and do things, hit dress, however. But I did end up, develop some habits where I went to the same person to get taped, and I did do a routine. My pregame meal, pretty much all the way through. Before the game, usually it would be just noodles, pasta, spaghetti with a little bit of butter and salt and pepper. No sauce or anything like that, just butter and noodles, and eggs and waffles maybe, or something like that. And then towards the end of my career, I got smart, or in the middle, we would I would order like a steak or something like that, and I'd ask for tinfoil, and I'd wrap it in tinfoil, because like after the game I'd be starving. And so on the bus ride to the airport, I'd chow down on something like that. And back then we were able to take hydroxycut. You remember hydroxycut used to have ephedra in it, right? And we used to love that stuff, because when I would take it, and obviously you had energy, but like I don't know, it's like my breathing passages were just I don't know, I could just breathe more oxygen in. It just felt great. It wasn't like a high or anything like that, but it was just I was energetic. I could breathe better, I think, at least mentally, I thought I could. But then after you crashed, right? Afterwards. So, I was ready to eat. Your stomach's upset because you had all this caffeine and stuff. So, they have a steak afterwards. But And then my pregame actually would be as I got older. I would take a warm shower, even I'd get up, I'd stretch in the bed, then on the floor, do a couple things, and then get in a hot shower, get to the stadium, take another hot shower, stretch, and get taped. And then I would, so even though I'd get there early, when you see guys on the field, throwing the ball and stuff like that. Well, I wouldn't touch a ball after a while because it seemed like I rolled my ankles every year for some reason. I had stopped and I didn't need to, my ankle stopped rolling every year, but I did not touch a ball until the actual pregame warm-ups that we did as a team. Like if someone threw a ball at me, I'm like, I'm not touching it. Like I thought I was gonna get hurt because it seemed like I always rolled an ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
But then also too, I trade my mind where no, because I don't want it. I don't want to catch it until I absolutely have to, because that way I will focus that much harder on the ball.
Absolutely.
So that was just my own little, head game that I did myself. So I would not touch a football. I'd run, do all kinds of different things, whatever, talk to friends on the other team. But then when we came in, got dressed, and then tight ends and backs out, and quarterbacks and receivers out. That's when I would catch the ball, obviously, because I had to.
Love that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you?
How about the Lou Holtz? The Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz, man, I tell you. So here's a story, kind of like what Holtz, kind of maybe give you a little bit of that space of how he was. So very, very attention to detail. And I remember we were practicing and it was like 9-on-7. So it was like all running stuff. And it was a team thing. And the receivers he thought were not blocking at the time. And that receiver was Tony Smith. So he said, after he's yelling at him, he says, he brought him at guard. He's like, these guys block for you so you can catch the ball, this, that, and the other. The least you could do is block on the perimeter. He goes, I want you to come in here and play guard and just see what they got to deal with in order for you to get your ball, to get balls thrown to you. And they're like, guys, coach them up. And like, we're going to go like live, like you guys go, don't hold back. And he played guard for like 3 or 4 plays before he took him out and let him go back to wide out, just to prove a point about, hey, do your job on the perimeter and block
Tuffy.
what it's called for.
That's
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Derek, do you have time? Do you have time for a fan Q&A real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we have this. Obviously, I told you before, our speaker app on my phone, and we have a couple some fan questions in here. And one of our fans, they want to know, since you brought up the hydro, how do you call that again?
Hydroxycut.
Hydroxycut. Yeah, they want to know, where do you try Frank Thomas's brand?
Oh, wait, well, was it Nugenix?
Yeah,
Nugenix?
Yeah.
Not now, I wouldn't. Because I don't want I had a little thing with high blood pressure now, and I drink my 1 or 2 cups of coffee. I don't need caffeine, and I don't have a game to get up for, and my testosterone is levels are fine. I did actually ask, got them tested just in case, and I am good to go. I don't need to feel jittery or anything like that. Because actually, I think I did try it. Like somebody had some, like, oh, let me try it, right? And I tried it. And I was like, yeah, I don't like this. I wouldn't even do a hydroxycut now. No.
Another fan question. They want to know one of your best moments in the NFL.
Oh, wow. I mean, there's a couple. So other than, being drafted, man, that's amazing. Here I am, kid from Maryland, Florida, being selected in the first round, 14th pick overall, was truly amazing. Playing for the New York Giants was amazing. Game wise, I would say that run in Jacksonville, making it to the AFC Championship game, that was incredible. Really loved it. I loved being a Raider. It's only for 1 year, but really cool to be a Raider. And then with the Cardinals. It was a great group of guys. I loved going to work every day. Uh, had fun, had a ball. I mean, we worked our asses off. I think we were at like 8-8 or something like that. So the season didn't necessarily go the way we had wanted, but man, it was a good group of guys, and I enjoyed going to work every day. But I mean, it's tough for me to say like one particular thing. I think there's a couple of them. So I'd say being drafted. I would say 96 Jacksonville team, being the cardiac cats or cardiac kids, whatever. Those are probably the absolute best, because and it's funny too. It's like you don't realize, and Natron said it best. Natron Means, when we were in Jacksonville, like, hey, let's just see what can happen, guys. Like, you don't know how hard it is to get here, man. Like, you don't know how hard. My 9 years of playing, I only made the playoffs 3 times out of 9 years. When you really think about it, and it's usually when you look at the whole history of the Super Bowl, it's pretty much the same couple of teams, handful of teams that go year after year. I mean, not year after year, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you compile all the Super Bowls together, I bet you there's probably only 14, 15 teams that actually go.
We'll
Or
take
win it too.
We'll take 2 more fan questions. And one of our fans wants to know your nickname.
Full of them. So in high school, everybody usually calls me D Brown. That's pretty much standard. In high school, one time you called me Oak Tree.
Mm.
And then, but that one really didn't stick. It was always D Brown. And now that I'm in a neighborhood poker league, Somerset Poker Tour, or SPT. We've been together for 16 years. I've been with them for 15. And you actually got to live in his neighborhood. It's 37 guys, right? And it's the Derek Brown rule, where if you are a first round pick, you played 9 years, and you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, as long as one of the neighborhood members vets me and they vote, then I can get in.
Wow.
And so it's we have a website. We go to Vegas every year. We have trademark emblems, it's over the top. It's a fraternity basically, but it's really just a bunch of neighborhood guys that we have a golf league, we have an indoor golf league, we have a DraftKings league. We do
That's
everything
awesome.
together. Yeah, it's a brotherhood. It really is. And we all have nicknames. And so originally my nickname was Black Jesus. And because only my close crew inside the group felt comfortable calling me that, one of my friends changed it to Coco Jesus, spelled COCOJESUS, Coco Jesus. And the reason being, because I ran like Jesus this one year, and I won it for the year. And I would call card. I was just like, I need a 3 of hearts. Boom, 3 of hearts. I'm like, no problem. Jack of spades.
Jesus.
Boom, Jack of spades. Exactly. And so we all have nicknames. And so we have jerseys and everything. And then when my wife passed almost 2 years ago, and so now it's funny. So now when they send a bat signal up about, hey, thinking about doing this, I'm in. Like, no matter what, I'm like, okay, we already know if we're gonna do anything, Derek's in. But so then they changed my name to Back Nine, and because I'm on the Back Nine of life, so my nickname now is Back Nine.
Yeah. Well, sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We'll dedicate the show to her too. So
awesome. Kristen Brown. Yeah, she died of non-small cell lung cancer. She was a non-smoker, perfectly healthy. Not even secondhand. It was a genetic thing. No family history or anything like that. Just a short pick of the straw.
That is so hard.
Man, my mother-in-law actually has the same cancer, and she beat it for the second. And she beat it for the second time.
Wow. God bless. Awesome. Yeah. No, my wife, she battled it for 4.5 years. And it took her April 2nd of 21.
Sorry for your loss, man.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So we'll take one more fan question and we'll wrap up. But they want to know favorite tight end to watch right now.
Oh man. favorite tight end to watch right now, it's got to be Travis Kelce. Come on. Like,
Ooh,
oh,
I thought that'd be a harder question to answer.
no, I know.
hold on. I
man.
agree though. I agree. I do agree.
I think to myself because I was
Uh-huh.
born like 20 years ahead of time. And as for the joke is with my friends like that, I blame my mom for having me, 20 years too early because, oh, that could have been me in these kind of offenses. You can't touch me for 5 yards, please. No problem. Right. And God bless him. I think, yeah, it's fun watching him. It's what I'd like just the way the game has evolved, right? And it does suck a little bit because it is kind of like two-hand touch out there, right? For the defense, their hands are kind of handicapped because they want high scoring games and everything. And it kind of looks like they're out there just running around and playing street football. But at the tight end, I love to see it. I love to see it.
The
D
Kelce,
Brown, Coco, Jesus, who you got for the Super Bowl?
yeah.
Well, if you put a gun to my head and I had to say who do I think is going to win, I think the Eagles are going to win.
Yes.
I do. If they play like they did last week, whatever. I mean, no disrespect to KC, they are a good team, but damn, that Eagles team, man, is physical, 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 physical.
Yeah, that is gonna be.
I know. Look at it. Yeah, Keel's all happy. Yeah.
I just want it to be a good Super Bowl.
Did you see Jason Kelsey's like last dance? He's like, there are.
Right.
There are tough.
I
I won't
think
embarrass myself anymore or my children.
it's gonna be a high scoring game. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, and I just want it to be a good Super Bowl. I think it will be a good.
It will.
The high,
I think it will be
but I
too.
think it's be high scoring though. I think high scoring. If yeah. Tell our fans where they can find you on social media.
Wow, pretty much everything that is Derek Brown 86, DEREK BROWN 86. That's my Snapchat, that's my Twitter, that's my Instagram, that's everything. Facebook, D Brown 86, or not D Brown, Derek Brown 86.
So the
Yeah.
last two things here, we're part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. You know him, former NFL coach. Now he's coaching
Yep.
at Grambling State University. We're trying to help
Yep.
him prevent human trafficking and making sure the community stays safe. So we're part of his foundation, helping them out. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
No, absolutely. Matter of fact, I saw him last year at the Daytona 500 because
Oh, wow.
they had one of the NASCARs down there that was wrapped in the school's colors and everything. So yeah, very great guy.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Hey, you know what? Cannot thank you guys enough for what you do. Thank you very much for putting up, a lot of times putting up with nonsense and doing the dirty work. You guys, we couldn't make it without you guys. Thank you so much for your